My best friend forced the idea of an open relationship on my girlfriend to take her away from me. I've been dating my girlfriend for years now, and it's been solid. She's the kind of person who doesn't even glance at other guys. Faithful doesn't even begin to cover it, she's just wired that way. I never had a single doubt about her. We built something real, something I could count on. Meanwhile, I've got this friend from high school, been tight with him forever. He's always been around, part of the crew, nothing weird about it. Lately, though, he's been acting different. Started dropping these random compliments about my girlfriend out of nowhere. Stuff like, "She's a catch," or, "You're lucky to have her." It didn't set off any alarms at first, just sounded like him being nice. I figured he was just saying what anyone could see. She's great, and I know it. Still, it kept happening. He'd toss out these comments every time we hung out, and it started to feel off. Not creepy, just noticeable. So one day, I asked him straight up what he meant by it. I wasn't mad or anything, just curious. He laughed it off, made some dumb joke, and changed the subject. Classic him, never gives a real answer when you push. I let it slide because it didn't seem worth digging into. He's my boy, been through a lot together. No point in making it a thing. That's where it stayed for a while, just a weird little blip I didn't think much about. Looking back, maybe I should have paid more attention. Things stayed normal for a bit after that, but then my friend started dating someone new. I was happy for him, he'd been single for a while, and I figured it'd chill him out. His new girlfriend seemed cool at first, nothing standout, just another person in the mix. Then he dropped the bomb, they were in an open relationship. Right out of the gate, no hesitation. He brought it up casual as hell, like it was no big deal, sitting there with me and my girlfriend one night. He went on about how it's modern and freeing, how monogamy's some old school trap for suckers. I didn't buy it. Told him straight up it sounded like a fake relationship to me, just an excuse to mess around without calling it cheating. He shrugged, smirked, and said I'd get it someday. My girlfriend didn't say much, just listened, but I could tell she wasn't into it either. At least, that's what I thought. The whole thing rubbed me the wrong way. I'd never been the type to judge people's choices, but this felt like he was flexing, trying to prove something. I let it go because it wasn't my business, live and let live, right? But then his girlfriend started hanging out with mine. They hit it off fast, texting all the time, meeting up for coffee or whatever. I didn't care at first. My girlfriend's allowed to have friends, and this chick didn't seem like trouble. She even told me once, point blank, that she wasn't a bad person. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? My girlfriend vouched for her too, said she was nice, just quirky with the whole open relationship thing. I figured it'd stay separate, their little side friendship, nothing to do with us. That's when it started shifting. Every time we all hung out, the conversation ended up on open relationships. My friend and his girlfriend would tag team it, going on about how great it was, how it's all about trust and freedom. They'd throw in these stories, nothing graphic, just enough to make it sound edgy and cool. My girlfriend would nod along, not really jumping in but not pushing back either. I'd argue sometimes, say it's not trust if you're just letting people do whatever, but they'd laugh it off like I was some uptight relic. It got old fast. I didn't want to hear about their lifestyle every damn time we saw them. So I stopped going. Told my girlfriend I wasn't feeling it, that they could hang out without me. She didn't fight it, just kept going to see them on her own. I didn't think twice about it, she's her own person, and I trusted her. Biggest mistake I ever made. With me out of the picture, things started changing, but I didn't see it right away. My girlfriend kept going to hang out with my friend and his girlfriend, and I didn't ask much about it. She'd come home, say it was fine, just the usual, coffee, catching up, whatever. I had no reason to suspect anything. She was still the same with me, or so I thought. But then she started dropping these little comments. Nothing huge, just offhand stuff like, maybe open relationships aren't so crazy. Or, it's kind of cool how free they feel. It was subtle, slipped into normal conversations, like she was testing the waters. I brushed it off at first. Figured she was just parroting what she'd heard, not actually serious. She knew how I felt about it, firmly against it, so I didn't think she'd push. It kept happening though. Over weeks, it went from casual mentions to her bringing it up more often. She'd talk about how my friend and his girlfriend seemed happy, how they didn't have to own each other. I'd shut it down every time. Told her it wasn't happiness, it was just chaos with extra steps. She'd go quiet, not argue, but I could tell it wasn't over in her head. I started getting this sick feeling, like something was brewing I couldn't pin down. She wasn't cheating, I was sure of that, but the way she talked felt foreign, like she was picking up someone else's words. It hit me eventually, this was coming from them. My friend and his girlfriend were in her ear every time she went over there, selling her on this open relationship garbage. I tried to ignore it, but it built up. One night she came home late from their place and started in again, nothing direct, just more of that, freedom, talk. I lost it. Snapped at her, said I was sick of hearing about it, that it wasn't us and never would be. She got defensive, said I was overreacting, that she was just thinking out loud. It turned into a full-blown fight. I asked why she kept going over there if all they did was shove this crap down her throat. She said they were her friends, that I didn't get to control who she saw. Fair enough, but it didn't sit right. I told her it felt like she was changing, and not for the better. She stormed off to bed, and I sat there fuming, wondering how we even got here. That's when I decided I had to talk to my friend. Whatever he was doing, it was messing with my life, and I wasn't gonna let it slide anymore. The next day, I was still pissed. Couldn't shake the feeling that my friend was behind all this, that he'd been planting seeds in my girlfriend's head every time she went over there. I didn't have proof, just a gut hunch, but it was enough to make me move. I drove to his place, no call ahead, no warning, just showed up. He was home, chilling with his girlfriend, and they both looked surprised when I walked in. I didn't waste time. Told him we needed to talk, alone. His girlfriend left the room, and I laid into him. Asked him what the hell he was doing, why he kept pushing this open relationship nonsense on my girlfriend. Said it was screwing with her head, screwing with us. He played dumb at first. Acted like he had no idea what I meant, said they just talked about their lives and she was free to think whatever. I wasn't buying it. Told him I knew they'd been hyping it up every time she came over, making it sound like some perfect setup. He got this smug look, shrugged, and said maybe she was just curious. That set me off. I asked if he was trying to mess with my relationship on purpose, if this was some game to him. He denied it, said I was paranoid, that he'd never do that to me. We'd been friends too long, he claimed. But the way he said it didn't feel right, too smooth, too rehearsed. I pressed harder, asked why it was always the only thing they talked about when she was around. He got defensive then, said it wasn't his fault if she liked the idea, that maybe I should loosen up. That's when I lost it. Told him he was a shitty friend, that he'd crossed the line by letting this spill into my life. He fired back, said I was the one with the problem, clinging to some outdated monogamy rulebook. We went back and forth, voices raised, until his girlfriend came in and told us to cool it. I didn't care. I was done. Told him to stay out of my relationship and stormed out. Driving home, I felt this mix of anger and dread, like I'd just scratched the surface of something worse. I got home still heated from the fight with my friend, but I didn't know what to do next. My girlfriend was there, scrolling on her phone, acting like nothing was wrong. I didn't bring it up right away, needed to cool off first. Sat there stewing, replaying everything in my head. His smug face, his bullshit excuses. It wasn't just about the open relationship talk anymore. It was the way he dodged every question, like he was hiding something. I started wondering what really went down when I wasn't around, when she'd go over there solo. She'd always said it was just hanging out, but now I wasn't so sure. Doubt started creeping in, and I hated it. I'd never doubted her before. Later that night, I couldn't hold it in. Asked her what they talked about when I wasn't there. She looked annoyed, said it was the same stuff, life, their relationship, nothing big. I pushed, asked if they'd kept selling her on the open thing. She hesitated, just for a second, then said yeah, sometimes, but it wasn't a conspiracy or anything. I told her I'd gone to see him, that I'd told him to back off. Her face changed, got tense, almost mad. She asked why I'd do that, said it was embarrassing, that I was making it a bigger deal than it was. I said it was a big deal to me, that I didn't like how she changed since hanging out with them. She rolled her eyes, said I was being dramatic. That's when it slipped out. I asked if something else was going on over there. Not accusing, just fishing. She got quiet, too quiet, then said no, nothing was going on. But the way she said it didn't feel solid. I didn't push more that night, didn't want another blowout, but it stuck with me. Couldn't sleep, just kept turning it over. Next day, I decided to dig. Called her out again, point blank asked if she'd done anything with him. She got pissed, said I was paranoid, that she'd never cheat. I wanted to believe her, but something was off. That's when I went back to my friend's place. Needed the truth, no matter what it was. I showed up at my friend's place again, unannounced. This time, I wasn't there to argue. I wanted answers. He opened the door, looked irritated but let me in. His girlfriend was there too, sitting on the couch, watching us like she knew something was coming. I didn't beat around the bush. Asked him straight up if anything had happened with my girlfriend when I wasn't around. Told him I wasn't leaving until he gave me a real answer, no jokes, no dodging. He sighed, looked at his girlfriend then back at me. Said I wasn't gonna like it. My stomach dropped, but I kept my face blank. Told him to just say it. He laid it out. Said after I stopped coming to their hangouts, my girlfriend kept showing up. At first, it was normal, just talking, chilling. But then it shifted. She got curious about their setup, asked questions, wanted details. He said they didn't push her, just answered. Then one night she hooked up with some guy they knew. Not him, not his girlfriend, just some random dude who was around. Happened more than once. He said it casually, like it was no big deal, like he was reporting the weather. His girlfriend nodded, confirming it, said my girlfriend seemed into it, that she'd found herself, or some crap like that. I stood there, numb, trying to process it. I asked why he didn't tell me. He said it wasn't his place, that she'd made her own choices. Said he figured she'd tell me if she wanted to. I didn't yell this time. Didn't have it in me. Just asked how many times. He shrugged, said a few, didn't keep count. That's when I turned and left. Didn't say another word. Drove home in silence, mind racing but blank at the same time. She cheated. Repeatedly. And they'd watched it happen, encouraged it, all under this open relationship banner. I felt stupid for trusting her, for trusting him. Worst part? I wasn't even mad anymore, just empty. I got home, and she was there, acting normal, like nothing had changed. I couldn't look at her the same. My friend's words were still echoing in my head, her cheating, over and over, while I sat here thinking we were solid. I didn't yell or make a scene. Just told her to sit down, that we needed to talk. She looked confused, maybe a little nervous, but she sat. I said I knew everything. Told her what my friend said, how she'd hooked up with some guy multiple times at their place. Didn't give her room to deny it, just laid it out flat. Her face went pale, then she started stammering, saying it wasn't like that it wasn't cheating because she'd been exploring. I cut her off. Said I didn't care what she called it, she'd lied, broken everything we had. She tried to argue, said I was too closed-minded, that I didn't understand her now. I told her I didn't want to. Packed her stuff while she sat there, watching. Threw her clothes in a bag, grabbed her toothbrush, her charger, anything I could find. She started crying, calling me cold, saying I was overreacting. I didn't stop. Told her we were done, that she needed to leave. She grabbed the bag, said I'd regret this, and walked out. Door slammed behind her. I sat on the couch, staring at nothing. Didn't feel good, didn't feel bad, just done. Years with her, gone like that. I didn't sleep that night, just kept thinking how blind I'd been. A couple weeks passed after she left, and I kept to myself. Didn't talk to my friend, didn't check on her, just tried to move on. Kept hearing bits and pieces through mutuals though. Word got around fast. Turns out, she didn't waste time. She started crashing at my friend's place right after the breakup. Not just staying over, her and his girlfriend hit it off. Like really hit it off. They're dating now, the two of them, full-on couple status. My friend's still in the picture too, part of their open relationship mess, but it's her and his girlfriend who are tight. They're posting pics together online, all cozy, acting like it's some big love story. Saw it myself one night when I caved and scrolled through her profile. Stung for a second, then I just felt tired. People say she moved on quick, that she'd probably been into the girlfriend for a while. Makes sense, looking back, how fast they bonded, how she'd light up around her. My friend's fine with it, apparently. Keep saying it's all cool, that they're this progressive little trio now. I don't get it, but I don't have to. She's not my problem anymore. Mutuals tell me she's happier than ever, that she's free now, whatever that means. I don't buy it's all sunshine, sounds like a tangled mess waiting to blow up. But that's on them. I blocked her, blocked him, cut the cord. Still stings sometimes, knowing she flips so fast, but I'm past caring what they do. It's been a few months now since it all went down, and I'm still piecing myself back together. The breakup, finding out she cheated, then hearing she's dating my friend's girlfriend, it's a lot to shake off. I don't check her stuff anymore, don't ask about them. Last I heard, they're still doing their thing, living that open relationship life they kept preaching about. People say it's working for them, but I don't care enough to find out. I've got my own stuff to figure out. Moved to a new place, started picking up extra shifts at work, anything to keep busy. Nights are quieter now, no one to argue with or worry about. It's lonely sometimes, but it's better than the chaos I was in. Looking back, I should have seen it coming. The compliments from my friend, the way they pushed that lifestyle, how she drifted, it was all there. I trusted too much, ignored the signs. Doesn't matter now. She's gone, he's gone, and I'm done with both. I'm not mad anymore, just over it. Learn the hard way who's worth keeping close. I'm not jumping into anything new anytime soon, need to get my head straight first. If there's one thing I know, it's that I'm sticking to what I believe in. No open relationship nonsense, no games. Just something real, whenever I'm ready for it. For now, I'm good on my own.